Aloha, Shelby Collinge here of shelbycollinge.com, and welcome to another video. It's good to have you here. I am coming to you from Oahu, Hawaii, the beaches of Oahu, and it's, if you can tell, I don't know if you can see, maybe not because of the cabana top, which I'm under because it looks like it could rain at any moment. Oh, maybe you can see it off there in the distance. It's hard to see what you can see in the background here, but I was hoping I'm getting some oceanness, and yet I have on a microphone because Honolulu is just over there. I don't know if you can see it from here either. Oh, like right over there. And so you can see right now, here comes a Hawaiian Airlines flight. Well, at any rate. So I'm doing a video about something that is pervasive and so bad that I had to do a video about it. And it's social media, right? And it's this kind of keeping up with the Joneses. And you know what it really boils down to is self-love. And a lot of us don't really love ourselves, right? We've done things maybe in the past. We've done things that we're not proud of. You know, if you're religious, maybe you believe you're a sinner or you've sinned. And let's face it, 100% of us have. And you know, I don't believe life is about never sinning, if you will, but it's more about I think that might have been one of the security ladies, I'm not sure, but at any rate, how exciting. I have yet to meet the security lady here at my new place, so when I think this is her, but she's here at night too, so she must either like work in the mornings and then work in the evenings, because I'm talking like 6-7 o'clock at night. I think I've seen this same person. So at any rate, I'm sorry, back to the video. So it really does boil down to self-love, and if you do or don't have any, okay, or if it's missing, or if it's conditional on results in business. You know, sorry if you could hear those jets. You can see, I'm going to try the military. That's military. And I'm hoping you can see. Life ceases when they fly by. But at any rate, I was working with a very, 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 very successful YouTuber, millions of followers, and she's like, I've never been so insecure in my life, you know, relating to even on Instagram as well too. And you've heard the stories, I know you have, of people who, you know, buy the clothes, take the Instagram shots, and then take the clothes back. Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing until, you know, somehow it found its way into my sphere. But evidently that's a thing, right? People travel, people going broke for their Instagram profiles, etc., etc. Now, I'm sure you can gather that you know, nobody's life is perfect, right? In fact, it's quite the opposite, right? Life is nothing but one kind of challenge after another. And I don't know where we kind of got a message that it wasn't, or that somewhere it was supposed to be easy or without setbacks, or, you know, sometimes a real bitch, to be quite honest. But the reality is that a lot of people are really, really suffering, and it really boils down to self-love. And I have to tell you that, you know, I struggle with this as well too, because for the early part of my life, like, I had my son really young. And so if you're a parent, especially if you're a single parent, especially if you're a single mom, back in the 90s, because my son was born in 1992, okay, which is like years away from when things were as fair as they are today in the workplace, having children and being a single parent. Like, I was telling a friend the other day that, I got fired because my son had strep throat and was in the hospital, and I spent my time at the hospital, and after 2 weeks they fired me, right? It was before the Family Leave Act, but I lost a job at a title company, Stewart Title, in Spokane, Washington, because my son was sick, right? So it's like every one of these, the Me Too movements, I've been there, right? I have been there. I have been one of those people that got the sucky end of the deal, to be quite honest. So I can really, 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 really relate. And if you've noticed from my social media following, like, I've never really dug it, to be honest with you. I've never had this, like, oh my gosh, love affair with much of any of it, right? It's really been a lot more, working with clients and email, and I'm there. I'm just about everywhere, but it's not something that I definitely don't love it, and I really don't even like it, if I'm honest, right? It's kind of something that I've tolerated, but a lot of people have made a big career about it, right? The YouTubers of the world, and that's great. There's no wrong in doing that. It's really debilitating a lot of people when they feel like their lives don't compare to what they see online. And what you see online 99% of the time is not at all the transparent deal of what's going on, okay, and what people are really living, especially when it comes to Instagram. Now, like I said, I personally haven't fallen trap to this particular trap per se, the social media. I mean, I'm on there, but anybody that knows me, especially colleagues and confidants, knows that I have really struggled, teaching spirituality and, 100% self-responsibility and everything that I've been teaching since the early days, which is another thing, right? This YouTuber's like, 1 year in the internet is like, 12 years in real life. And I've been on the internet since, on YouTube since 2010. And it's like, girl, I have been on the internet since 2005. Okay. Talk about feeling like a dinosaur in terms of, how long I've been around, right? It's like I had another client reach out to me on Facebook being like, oh my gosh, I found some audio programs of yours, that I had taken back in 05 and 07 and 08. And it's like, she's like, it's really hard to imagine. It's like, yes, see, I have been doing this for so long, but yet the critics are always going to be there too, right? So if you put yourself online, see my piggy tails, if these are piggy buns, sorry to jump off, but it's like they don't feel like they're going the right way. The weather here is so humid right now that my curly hair was having none of it. It was just like a big droop vest. So it was like, well, this is what we're doing for today. Reliving the childhood. Not really, but so it's something we all have to really, really be careful of, because you will never compare to somebody who's only giving you slices and dices of the best possible moments of their life. And I of course would never name names ever. That's one of the other things that's really served me well over the years is, I'm not one of those that has ever dropped names to the thousands of people I've worked with. But, there's a lot of really, 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 really successful people that are really, really, really insecure. So if you think that, getting all the money or even the fame or the success is going to magically change your life in some dramatic way. Think again. Okay, money only makes you more of what you already are. Just think about that. Money makes you more of what you already are. So if you do have problems, it will bring you more problems. If you're not at peace, it will bring you more not at peace. Okay, it's just kind of like an amplifier. So the self-love deal is critical, because if you don't truly, and I mean this, not just, because it's kind of in vogue to say self-love and we all have to love ourselves, but truly love yourself and truly believe in everything that you do, right? Will you make mistakes? Yes. Will you screw up? Yes. Will you probably, hurt other people? Yes. It's kind of part of the process of being human, but the deal really has to be that you love you truly. Okay. And again, this is something that I still have not mastered it myself, right? There are still situations where I can begin to doubt and be like, oh, maybe I don't know, or talk myself out of something that I was really, really sure of. Or, there's a lot of traps that we fall into. So it's not foolproof. It's not, it's something you have to keep working at too, because as soon as you think you're like, okay, no matter what anybody says, there'll be another, I hate to say it, but there'll be another test. There'll be another level of, growth. So, that really is the question of the day, is if you really look to anything outside of yourself, even if it's bank account balance, even if it's friends you have, gosh forbid it's on followers or likes. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many people just lose sleep over likes and follows. And that's another thing. You get decent at something, and then they change the algorithm and it all changes, and then everybody has to relearn it again, right? So it's like this never achievable, ever changing rat race, right? You're on that hamster wheel. And the only thing that really fixes that is if you're whole with you. That doesn't mean, again, we have to atone and forgive ourselves, right? I was talking about this briefly. It's going to be more of an upcoming topic on my weekly sat sayings. But, you've got to forgive yourself and others, like more than just once a year, when you're lighting a candle, or, it's the holidays or something, like all the time, daily, weekly, to let yourself off the hook, because then what happens is we punish ourselves for wrongdoings, and then it's a vicious cycle that you just can't get out of. And boy, have I speak from this with huge experience as well too. So, one of the things that I myself work on is, like I said, I've lived a lot of life in my years already, right? I have not had an easy go of it at all, ever, in anything. And so, in my younger years, when I had my son, it was like I could always convince myself to keep going. I could always prevail. I could always, no matter what, pull it out, because it was like, I've got to do it for my son, for Derek. So now that he's, 25 and doesn't live with me and hasn't for a few years, I have found myself, having to really work on this self-love muscle, because I don't have anybody around per se to kind of constantly reaffirm love and acceptance. And by that I mean, when you've got kids around and they tell you they love you every day and they hug you every day and you kiss them, 100 times a day, there's something that, fuels you. And as they get older and they go away, and it's like you get a text here and there, like you don't have that, I don't want to call it a reassurance, but you catch my drift, okay? And then when I was in corporate America, even though it was conditional love for sure, right? Because if you didn't produce, they absolutely did not love you and they absolutely fired you. But while you were in the good graces, there was always somebody there, although not with loving means and not by always telling you how great you are, that was there to kind of crack the whip and keep you motivated, whether that be through fear, or in some cases it was like, look, go take a trip, go do something, you're really great, you're good at what you do, pull yourself together type of thing. So fast forward, beginning, for almost 14 years ago now, and you run out of, right? I'm not in corporate America. I don't have the cheerleader boss, right? I'm the boss. I don't have my son at home, no matter what, coming over and saying he loves me, or, everything, you just don't have those. And so you can drown really, really quickly if you don't have a good self-love muscle. Okay, bottom line. And, I've been underwater for hours at a time, it feels like. Right. And then the one thing that I don't know about you, but it's like I get more quiet, I go more inward, and, that's never helpful either. And so then if you take somebody who's like that, slightly vulnerable, and then you pile on the social media where everybody you look at is having, these A-star days and their plates all look exotic, right? Like I've never been into that. You can ask anybody that has ever, in the last 10 years since the advent. I am never the one taking the picture. I am never the one tagging us in posts. I'm never the one taking a picture of my food. Like, I could give a rip. I am not. And it's like funny too, because I find it interesting how the universe, right? I'm always made to walk my talk, right? Even when I don't want to. And it's horrible sometimes, right? The walking and then talking the walking that I've had to do is, I think Jesus got off light. Just I would take the being on the cross, I think, any day of the week. But I digress. The fact of the matter is that life just gets more and more challenging, right? And the more you can handle, the more it seems you're asked to handle. And it's one of these things, like I said, where it can be hard, and you look. I cannot stress it enough how you have to make sure you're in a good mental place. I mean, most definitely before you get on social media, and most definitely before you try to compare. I mean, that is such a horrible thing to do, because again, you're not seeing the real life of what's really going on. And I would never do the tell-all book, but oh my gosh, if I could or would, what people would just be astounded to think some of these people that they just put on such pedestals have the same fears that you do. And they all come down to, we just don't think we're good enough. There's not enough self-worth. And it's really a lack of belief in oneself. And so, know that you're not alone, and know that every single person you see is dealing with it, no matter what the outward appearances are. 100% of people deal with it, especially when you have critics, right? Especially if you do anything in the public whatsoever. You're going to always be more open, put yourself more out there to receive people's opinions, good and bad. And, if you're solid with you, then, there's a certain power that comes from that. And again, it's not that we're infallible. It's not that you won't make mistakes often, but you have to forgive yourself and forgive others and keep going and do better. And most definitely learn from it, right? You can't keep repeating the same one again and again and again and again and not realize that you've got something to do with it, right? And I always tell people, the common denominator in all your problems is you, so we don't have to fix the problems, we just have to fix you, which really is the good news, right? You don't have to go out and fix 20 people. You don't have to go out and deal with 20 creditors. What you have to deal with is fixing you, and then you fix you, and then those problems will fix themselves. It's a promise. So I don't want to make this a horribly long video, but I did feel it really, really necessary because I don't think it's talked about enough that almost all of what you see on social media from a lot of people is not, there's a lot of filtering, there's a lot of effects, there's a lot of staging that goes into it. Again, I've never fallen in that trap because I just can't be bothered. My videos are not even edited. I don't really even know how to do that. I went through a little bit of a phase even on my last videos where I was putting this intro and outro because a lot of people were like, you really need to do that. But I hate doing that too, so I'm not doing that. At least I'm not doing it for right now unless I get some other divine inspiration to tell me otherwise. Again, practicing what I preach whether I really want to or not. I wish you could smell the air today. It does smell very, very sea-like, and I love it. It like cleanses my soul in a way I can't describe. The sea air. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a Cancer sign. I'm not sure. Maybe us water signs. Maybe because Cancers are in the ocean, so salt water is my friend. But there is something so therapeutic about the water here in Hawaii that I can't even describe it. So I hope you are having a great day. You look amazing, and I'd encourage you, if you're not already, to subscribe to this channel. Right? It's kind of all back to basics here. A lot of people want to find all the shiny object solutions outside yourself, but they really aren't. And even when you buy them, once the next day comes around, it's like, oh, I'm kind of back to my same old self. That new purse didn't do it. Those shoes didn't do it. That vacation really didn't do it. Right? It's like you're still back to being you. And the deal is to really love being you. Love. Not just some airy fairy, you wear the t-shirt and on Valentine's Day you wear red, right? Like truly dig yourself. Not in a pompous asshole kind of way, but in a genuine, you've got to be your own best friend before you can expect anybody else to fill the void. No matter that be a relationship, a client, a dollar amount, right? You've got to be whole with you first. So that's my message for today. And thanks for listening. And I hope I'll see you on the next video. And go to my website if you'd like, shelbycollinge.com. Check it out. Sign up for my newsletter, my Message of Aloha newsletter. And we'll see you on the next video. I love ya. A hui ho.